This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Blessings and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday. Yeah. Man, do we have a lot to talk about. Let me get these monitors set up, so hopefully I'll be able to see if you come on in the show space here. So let's see, we're going out live. And it's not up yet on the Bitcoin Otter. Oh, wait, we got a live. We got a live. What does that mean? There we go. Okay, we're good. Volume down. I'm watching me, watching you, loving yous. 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. We're in the noisy but great McAllen Incubator. We got the musicians next to us banging away at the drums. We got sculptures outside. We got paintings. We got all kinds of stuff. And, me and you just committing jackassery over here. It's going to be beautiful. We got so much stuff to go through. I'll start momentarily. So here's what we have. We have a situation, right, where people are going to think there's war. People are going to think there's craziness. People are going to think all different kind of things. But you know what? I'm telling you right now, the boss has us. He's got us. Don't worry about it. We're going to be all right. All is well. Now, you might think, hey, Otter, Tammy, good to see you. You might think, hey, Otter, maybe, just maybe, we're going to war because Trump's going to, 99 cents los ballons and all that. You remember that from Nena back in the day? 99 red balloons for those of you who are not Generation X. Not so lucky, are you? Anyway. So I'm pulling up the Christopher Ott one. We're hitting it, and no comments yet. Awesome. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, we're going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook. We're going out on Radio Garden app. We're going out in TuneIn Radio. Join us there under 97.7 KCYP, The City. And or on Facebook and YouTube, Bitcoin Otter and Christopher Ott. Now, giving us the opportunity to see where we stand fiscally, if you will. The Bitcoin today in show prep was 104,211 treasury. No, I'm sorry. That's the opposite of the shysters that we have in the Federal Reserve. So Federal Reserve notes, 104,211 for one Bitcoin. Don't got to buy a whole Bitcoin, everybody. I certainly don't have anything near it. Silver, $36.62. It's trending upwards, ladies and gents. You can still get it, and that's the good thing. Gold, $3,378 an ounce. That is healthy compared to a couple years ago. You do what you want with that. 30-year rate for an average mortgage is 6.89. That rascally guy, Powell, doesn't want to budge. Now, he was very accommodating to whoever was running the country under the auto pen king, Diaper Joe. Who knows? Who knows who was running the country? But whoever it was, basically Powell would beat down the rates like a rented mule. Didn't matter. He wouldn't care. But since he wants to screw things up under Trump, he won't move the rates. So Trump calls him too late Powell, which is fine, because he will deal with him in his own way. The 15-year rate, 6.09% for a mortgage. Let's see. Tammy's up on both. Hello, Tammy. So let's see what else we have here. Verse of the week. Verse of the week, ladies and gentlemen. And there are some things I couldn't fit everything in. The goings-on of this last week, and I sense that it will only accelerate throughout the 4 years. It will at some point come to a crescendo. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we will see not only prosperity, but peace. I am optimistic. I know there are many things that need to be fixed. I know many crooked people need to come to justice. I know. But the fact of the matter is this. We will have good times. We will have prosperity. We will, Lord willing, have peace. Now, as for all that secret stuff, I got a verse for you. Verse of the week. It's from Luke 8:17. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. It's biblical, ladies and gentlemen. we're going to get disclosure. Not on everything. I understand. Not on this side of heaven anyway. We're not going to know everything. We just can't. It's just not possible for many different reasons, especially in a time of war like we're in now. Sure, thank God it's not kinetic war in our neighborhoods and so forth. But by the same token, it is an informational war that you and I can actually enjoin ourselves into and do our part to overthrow the deep state, the international criminal cartel, the Khazarian mafia, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. We can assist the patriots that have risen up in a counterinsurgency against them. We can assist. How can we assist? Waking people up. Now, we can't do it for those people who are strict communists, those people who were raised, as it were, maybe not even as communists, but formulated that way. They were so malleable in college that, well, they became what they wouldn't have if they didn't receive that programming, that conditioning. But they can be, they can be cured too. It just takes a moment. All they have to do is give in for a moment to logic and especially to the Holy Spirit, because all you got to do is knock and Jesus will be there. Even opposite, he knocks. All you got to do is open it. Give it a shot. Cointelegraph. This is crypto news coming at you. Cointelegraph says stablecoin summer as Coinbase Circle stocks surge on new legislation. Coinbase and Circle shares surged after U.S. lawmakers signaled support for clearer stablecoin regulation by pushing through the Genius Act for House approval. Now, what that means is that there will be certain stable coins, okay? A stable coin is also called a tether, similar things. What it does is it locks on to the price of the U.S. dollar, the value, if you will, of the U.S. dollar, which is extremely low, I know. But what it does is it allows you to stay in the cryptoverse without going back to the dollar and without gambling, if you will, on any cryptos. You're gambling on the U.S. dollar, crapping out. I understand that, and hopefully you do too. But most people feel more comfortable with dollars. So the ones that are going to probably succeed look to be, and I'm not going to read the whole article. You can get that from Cointelegraph. I believe it's USDC, and they didn't mention this, but RLUSD, which is Ripple Labs USD. Sue, good to see you. Dad, good to see you. Jim, thanks for watching. So the fact of the matter is, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to stay within our wallets, stay within the, I don't recommend you stay in an exchange. But if you do, you can stay there prior to investing in another coin using the stable coin. I think I'm going to give RLUSD a shot simply because the XRP blockchain doesn't charge a ton for transactions or anything like that. USDC, I'm unaware. I haven't really used them. To be honest, I haven't used them prolifically. I just I don't trade much. I hodl, and I'm way down because I started at the peak of last year's. I have accumulated in the trough, right? And then we're all just hoping, bam, that it just goes up. We'll see. We will see. It has definitely gone up. The Bitcoin, definitely. We'll see if it really goes. Crypto news. KuCoin, that is an international. I think it might be in the Seychelles, something like that. It's an international exchange. KuCoin taps BitGo in 2 billion trust project to shield clients with off-exchange custody. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a step in the right direction. Why do I mean that? Because you can still make trades using KuCoin. Now, you can't if you're American, because Americans don't like freedom, and, well, you and I do, but the American government doesn't. So until all this murky regulation stuff goes, you and I can't use KuCoin. I've used it before. Man, it's a really easy interface. Very good. I used it without KYC, know your customer. So you could, not so much anonymously, but you didn't have to give up all that info you love, your social security number, all that stuff. Now, I guess KuCoin is seeing a little bit of, how would you say, backlash because they're demanding more and more KYC. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated on that. But this crypto news article goes on and says clients will have access to custody with insurance coverage up to $250 million, automated post-trade settlement, and delegated trading access without compromising asset control. So apparently we are going to be able to, still control our assets with our keys. Nobody can get in there and do what they want with our stuff, yet still be able to trade on the exchange. Going to be interesting to see, but you can't use it because you are under the evil bastion of the SEC. This also from crypto news, Bitcoin price prediction. Bitcoin hits 104,000 as Ohio passes tax break and Kraken adds staking. So Kraken is an American. You can use this one. It is an American exchange. So apparently they are adding a feature where you can stake your Bitcoin. But again, it's on the exchange. The exchange gets hacked. And I'm not saying Kraken is going to get hacked. I'm not saying that. But if anything happens, remember, not your keys, not your crypto. So the Ohio House of Representatives has just passed the Blockchain Basics Act, providing new protections for crypto users and miners. A $200 tax exemption. It's not a lot, is it? But hey, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye, right? So $200 tax exemption on capital gains for crypto transactions. Ban on interference with self-custody wallets. That's a good thing. Mining protection from discriminatory zoning laws. Yeah, so you might have a zoning law that says, oh, you can't use this for electricity, that for electricity. It's going back to tyrannical things like COVID was under whoever it was. We know it wasn't Biden now. If passed by the Senate, Ohio would lead U.S. states in progressive crypto regulation. This clarity is bullish. It reduces friction for adoption and provides a model for others to follow. Kraken launches native Bitcoin. This is part of the same article. Staking via Babylon. I don't know what Babylon is, but using their protocol, users can stake Bitcoin and earn baby tokens. Baby from Babylon. Get it? Doesn't sound really wholesome. But while their funds are secured on the Bitcoin network itself, this has several bullish implications. Reduces the circulating Bitcoin supply, providing long-term price support. So it's going to lock these Bitcoin up for a time of, I don't know, a specific time, but I don't know. And it shows BTC utility beyond store of value. Okay. How does that mean? It means that we can deposit it. And you remember back in the old days when you could deposit money in a bank? Well, maybe not money, but a Federal Reserve note, a bunch of Federal Reserve notes in the bank. And you would receive what's called interest. Now, we only know interest in today's age as what we are foisted upon, as what is foisted upon us, what we are forced to pay. There used to be a time, there used to be a day when people gained interest on their deposits. I know, I'm old school, but that's the way it was. Now, one of the biggest fears that these bankers have is that people will be able to do this with Bitcoin. And what we're seeing here is Kraken is looking to give us that ability to stake our Bitcoin and receive, I don't know that I'd really want those baby coins, but you can probably get them in, you can probably exchange them on a decentralized exchange, or even go back to Kraken and get something that you would much better appreciate, like Bitcoin, right? So institutional Bitcoin Fi, which is Bitcoin finance, participation grows the ecosystem liquidity. Okay, so the more people we have involved in this way and in other ways, right? But the more people involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, then the bigger it's going to get, the wider the adoption becomes, and the higher the value. This is what we all want. This is what we need, because we certainly can't survive under this system anymore. These bankers are out for blood, literally. All right. This is off X. The Skiff on X says, the CIA and USAID playbook for the LA riots. Ooh. Interesting. Classified documents have been uncovered that reveals. Remember our verse of the week? Let me go back to this. For there's nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought into the open. Here we see that classified documents have been uncovered that reveal how the CIA plans out and sets off riots to destabilize governments. Gee, You think they internalized it to us? As for civil unrest here in the U.S., Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem claimed on Monday that demonstrators in Los Angeles were being paid. You don't say, Kristi. And that the ongoing riots were part of a professional operation. You better believe it. Man, when they have contractors dropping off pallets of bricks and cinder blocks right around the corner or right on the very same street that Trans-Tifa's, militarized, well, it's organized and not by the people you think. What do you mean? It's by NGOs who are funded by either corporatists or politicians that have tapped into our tax dollars. Remember where we just read right there a little bit? USAID. What is USAID? It is part of our government. It uses your tax dollars, gives it away to your enemies so that they can burn down your neighborhood. Yes, I am not kidding. I'm not kidding. Bitcoin Otter at secure.com. I will give you the sauce of all that info. All right. Barron Trump News on X. I like this account. I'm not saying this is actually Barron Trump. Okay. What I'm saying is this person, Corinne, good to see you. This person happens to be a very astute and resourceful newscaster. President Trump just dropped a truth with stuff in the parentheses, building on the theory that Iran has the blackmail evidence of Epstein and Weiner laptop. You don't say. Could he be dropping hints as to what's really going on about Iran? Ladies and gentlemen, there's more to this article, and I'll get to it. But I want to tell you something about this whole Iran-Israel thing. Neither one is what we think. Okay, are there despots running Iran? Yes, I believe that is a despotic and repressive government put there by your government and mine. Those three letters were added again. In fact, Hussein sent palletfuls. Yeah, the guy who came in on a student visa, Barack Hussein Obama. So he sent pallets full of cash. They were the ones that either, and I'm not pretending to know the complete shot, but they were either helping Iran develop a nuke so that war in the future could come about, or they were assisting the regime in oppressing the people. Probably both. I'm not sure. Who am I? I'm over here in Texas. Thank God. Now, Trump just said, this is again Barron Trump News, the U.S. has complete control of Iranian airspace. But instead of bombing, he's doing something way more dangerous. He's protecting it. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is not who we think it is. Let me give you a little bit of background. When World War II was going on, the people who were initiating this war, and again, I don't think it's who you think it is, really knew that the U.S., in order to beat the Germans, the U.S. had to get into the war. So the people who represented international Jewry, Jewry, they went to cigar-chomping drunkard, what's that guy's name? Churchill. The guy who murdered millions of people in India by starvation. So this guy, they created the Balfour Agreement. And what it said is that these people who wanted to get back into where the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob resided, the promised land, these new people wanted to get back in, okay? Now, in order to do that, they knew that the so-called allies had to win. So they created this Balfour Agreement, which told England, hey, we'll get America into the war. But after that, you're going to give us Palestine, and we're going to call it Israel. Okay? I'm giving you some things that I have hesitated to give on Facebook for a long time, but it says we're still live here, so apparently I haven't been. They've been throttling us. for a while now. And as you can understand, these are some of the reasons why. If this stuff gets out to the normies out there and more people understand the truth, then it will be much more difficult for the deep state to manipulate us. So Donald Trump, according, again, you are the arbitrator. You're the arbiter of truth in your mind. I'm not telling you to, hey, you got to believe this. Trust me. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not giving you, I will never give you intentionally bad information. But when I see something that resonates with what I've been studying for going on 8 years now, 9, then I'm going to report it and allow you to decide. So Trump is now, according to Barron Trump News, is now in complete control of Iranian airspace. And he's protecting it. Why? Because the real war isn't missiles. It's data. Remember when I said we were in an informational war? An info war, as Alex Jones calls it. That is precisely true. And this is a war that you and I can engage in. We could be digital warriors, which is why I'm here today. And are you? 3 days ago, Iran claimed to have seized 3 terabytes of highly sensitive Israeli intelligence data. Not leaked, not confirmed, just obtained. And even if 5% of that haul includes the Epstein files, everything changes. You think those files were in U.S. courts? No shot. They are locked in servers in Tel Aviv because Epstein wasn't just a predator, he was a weapon, and you know who pulled the trigger. Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. I am willing to explain this to anyone who is willing to listen. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot more than this that I can't say on Facebook. Zero Hedge. White House says Trump to decide on attacking Iran within the next 2 weeks. Well, let's see what happens. But what did we just talk about? Well, it was that it's a potential, it's a possibility that Trump and the Patriots, Americans, control the airspace. Now, whatever defenses that Iran has, you can imagine that the U.S. forces are going to augment that greatly. So if this story is true, then Israel will definitely want to bomb the kaboodie out of Iran, if kaboodie is a word. And they will bomb it right off and right out. However, the U.S. is saying, under the guidance of Trump, who knows? He always knows. Hold on. Hang on a minute. Wait. We're going to see what they got. We're going to have a peace talk. We're going to have an exchange of information. And we're going to see if we can come up with a deal. Because Trump's the deal maker. He's the peacemaker. Okay? You can see a trillion things on the mainstream media. You can see whatever you want to see. You can try and look into all this stuff, and I understand I am not any smarter than you. But the fact remains that Donald Trump ran, and we'll get into this a little bit later. Got some more info on this. But Donald Trump ran on and got a mandate for peace in the world. Not forever wars, like the Bush crime family, the Clinton crime family, the Obama crime family, the Biden crime family. Those families are assets to the deep state. They are not anybody that's, a wonderkind. They're not anybody that's, Mensa. They're not anybody like that. And they're not rich among themselves. Yeah, the Bushes stole a lot of money because, Poppy Bush was in the 3 letters. Remember, he was the head of that certain ugly agency. And they have a ton of money. Most of them received, like the newbies, like Hussein and the Clintons, they get book deals. And that is how the deep state uses your tax dollars to pay these scum. So that needs to change. And I know that Donald Trump is going to change it. It might take some time. Now, this is again from Zero Hedge. White House quoting Trump. Amid speculation regarding negotiations with Iran, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. So it's a time period for America to mull peace. This is what we voted for, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't vote for Bill Kristol. We didn't vote for who's that warmonger, the guy with the 4-pound mustache. We didn't vote for those people, right? Victoria Nuland, who helped overthrow Ukraine in 2014. No. Lindsey Graham, no. We voted for a peacemaker, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what he's doing. He's attempting peace. Our young men, in some cases young women, are on the line here. I'll get into that in a little bit also. I don't want to see any of our younger generation die, slaughtered, or like I'm going to get into in a little while, just a mere accident. We don't want to see that. Let's just keep them out of harm's way. How's that sound? Walk tall, carry a big stick, and the kids don't have to die in forever wars. But the deep state, they're going to try in any way possible to get us into a war. Levitt, the press secretary, Trump thinks substantial chance of Iran negotiations. See, working on peace, ladies and gents, working on peace. Witkoff has been in touch with Iran. These are good things. So there is a communication thing going on there. That's a good thing. I like that. Very, very nice. Levitt says also Trump always interested in diplomatic solutions. That is true. Not so much with the deep state. It's the U.S. belief that Iran has never been closer to a nuclear weapon. Now, I don't believe they have it yet, but who am I? I'm in Texas. I can't tell you what's in Iran. Iran can and should make a deal or face consequences. That I can agree with. Levitt also said that Trump remains in contact with Netanyahu. Okay? Many people call him Satan Yahoo. I won't call him Satan Yahoo. I'll just say that there are people out there that call him Satan Yahoo. Levitt also says, Iran is in a weakened position and we have sent a deal. Well, hey, proactive. Guys, ladies, gents, proactive. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. It just needs a decision. Give us the decision. This is me. Give us a decision. What do you want to do? Do you want us to decide to be bombed, missiled, droned, or do you want to make peace? That's the decision at hand. Now, on the other side, if the Epstein stuff and other stuff, who knows, right? It's going to be revealed. Who knows? Is in play. Do you think that Netanyahu guy is going to allow it to happen? Good thing to think about. They were knee deep in Epstein Island, which of course was nothing more than a blackmail factory. Epstein Island created pawns, created assets out of politicians, judges, bankers. And then on the celebrity tip, you had the Diddy freak-off parties. It's all part of the same scam, ladies and gentlemen. Blackmail factories for everybody. You want to be prominent, you want to be famous, you need to be used, abused, enslaved, and you have to have something you did that was horrible. And I won't get into it on Facebook, but horrible, nasty stuff has to be done, and they want to record you doing it. So they have leverage over you. That is what generates stars in the United States under the deep state. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and yes. Please come to grips. Now, this is again out of Zero Hedge. U.S. starts evacuating diplomats from embassy in Israel. Ooh. As prospect of U.S. entry into war lingers. This is just the headline. I'll get into the article. But when I was reading this in pre-show prep, a thought occurred to me that if the U.S. is evacuating diplomats, it could mean that, well, hey, let's keep them safe from Iranian missiles, right? That would be logical, because if there's a war breaks out, Iran responds, whatever. But what also occurred to me was this. What if this info comes to fruition and Israel wants some leverage? Get what I mean? You get what I'm saying? I'm winking if you're listening to this and driving around. I'm winking because the people that are running the country now, unlike the auto pen people, know many more ways to skin a cat. What I'm saying is, if things get frosty with Israel, it's better to have our diplomats and people stateside, right? So I've also read, and I didn't include this, but I guess I'll throw it out there now. The U.S. is also sending over cruise ships to evacuate, civilian Americans. So I would suggest that if you don't want to get bombed by Iran or taken prisoner by Israel, maybe get out of there. Maybe leave. You know what I mean? I'm just saying for saying. Whatever side you're on, there's going to be a reason to leave. You get my meaning? Comprende? Anyway, the U.S. State Department has begun evacuating diplomats and their families from the American embassy in Israel. So far, these are diplomats deemed non-essential personnel. Wow. According to American officials cited in the Associated Press, a government aircraft transported several diplomats and family members who requested to leave on Wednesday. Oh, I would request to leave. All right. I would most definitely, especially my family was all right. Here's what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to get into this after the break. Just a short break. If we had sponsors, anybody out there want to promote your business, we'd be glad to help you promote your business. But if we had sponsors, I would do it now. But I'm not, because I am just going to tell you where you're watching this and who you're watching. You're watching the Bitcoin Otter Show on 97.7. We're going out on terrestrial radio, 97.7, KCYP, the city, out of McAllen, Texas. You're also possibly watching us on Facebook live or the recorded version. You're watching us on YouTube live or the recorded version. TuneIn Radio is where you can listen to us. It's an app. Download on your phone or laptop or desktop. And Radio Garden. So many different ways to see the Bitcoin Otter Show and all the other shows that are on KCYP the city 97.7. Okay, so we got a pretty good lineup. This is a studio here. We have various shows. In fact, behind the camera here are both Renee and Juanito. They both have their own shows. So it's Tailgate 956 for Renee and Golpe de Gol for Juanito. Okay, you guys like soccer and I guess it's a mix of sports that Renee and his partner cover on Tailgate 956. So these are the things we do here in this studio. We are men at work and women. We also have the doctor, Barbosa, who does basically alternative medicine and natural healing. So 2 U.S. soldiers die in non-combat incidents in Middle East as region on edge. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I mean about the forever wars. Okay? Here are 2 soldiers that are not in active combat, but they were deployed to Iraq and Kuwait in support of the years-long Operation Inherent Resolve, and they died this week in separate non-combat incidents. The Department of Defense announced on Wednesday, but without disclosing specifics. We don't know the specifics, but we know that they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. Damn it, they should not be there. I'm a little passionate about this. You may or may not know, most of you know me, I am a veteran. I put in my time. I rolled the dice, whatever you want to call it. I didn't go to a war. I went to Korea, but I didn't go to an actual war, a hot war. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't need our military in these places. We don't need forever wars that will drain us of young men and women, will drain us of finances, and it only empowers the deep state. It only empowers the evil bastards that run our world. These are evil people, ladies and gentlemen. I can't get into it on Facebook, but they do such evil that whatever you've written or whatever you read about in the Bible that the Babylonians did, these people do it. These people do it. The ugliest of things against every manner of human. They're continuing it, and they want to do it to you, and they want to do it to me. Okay? But we're fighting. We're not giving up. The enemy that we truly have is not the enemy we think we have. But you're going to understand that once you're able to read between the lines and break the mold of the conditioning that our U.S. educational system has placed upon you. Thankfully, I have not been educated at a higher level. I have not been institutionalized. I'm not the smartest guy, around, and that's evident. But the fact of the matter is, I have retained my critical thinking skills. I was not molded by a professor. I was not forced to give the professor's opinion as a test answer. Okay? Thank God. But unfortunately, many of you have. And with that type of academic tyranny comes a program, an agenda. Okay? And many people don't come out of that with completely intact critical thinking skills. In fact, probably most. General Mills, this is a good one right here. Ladies, gents, this is a good one because it means that MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is on the job. General Mills announces removal of synthetic food dyes starting with cereals. This is nice. Based in Minnesota. Horrible, horrible place for freedom. All right? Right, Walsh? Right, Walsh? You sponsor of murderers, Tim Walsh? You who got picked, hand-picked, cherry-picked with Kamalama to run and try to lead our country? Scum. Anyway, I think we might get into that too. General Mills announces this. They also have popular brands Cheerios, Nature Valley, Blue Buffalo, Haagen-Dazs, Old El Paso, Pillsbury, Betty Crocker, Totino's, and Annie's. General Mills' announcement followed a statement by another major corporation, Kraft Heinz. On the same day, Heinz said on Tuesday it will not launch any new products with artificial colors in the United States and will remove the additives from its existing product portfolio by the end of 2027. So Sue, yes, it is, Sue. It is. You're right. It's dung. It's looks like a horse or a cow dung or a bull dung. Yeah. Only 16% of Americans, 19% of Trump voters want U.S. to join Israel's war on Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, this seems like an accurate poll. The finding of broad unpopularity of another U.S. war in the Middle East comes alongside a rising chorus of voices demanding that the decision should be made by the Congress as required by the United States Constitution. Now, a word on that. Yes, the United States Constitution requires that the Congress makes the decision on to declare war or not. Well, Otter, how is it that we've been in all these forever wars? Ha, thanks. Glad you asked. So the reason we've been in so many forever wars is because the deep state usurped in many ways, but specifically in this case, the deep state usurped the authority of the Congress, the exclusivity of Congress to give the president under the War Powers Act autonomy for up to, I think, 60 days to attack, molest, drone, blow up, missile, bomb, anywhere they want. Just to get the ball rolling. See where I'm going? So prior to Donald Trump and since John F. Kennedy, I'm including Reagan, I'm including him. If you want to spit vinegar at me, go ahead, throw it in the comments, but I'm going to include Reagan. He was better than most, but man, he was still tethered with Poppy Bush. So, in that whole time, they're all puppets of the deep state. Installed, if you will. You and I don't get to really choose. Case in point, how many Democrats chose Kamala Lamala for presidential candidate in 2024? 0 real Democrats. The deep state plants, they chose Kamalama. Am I mispronouncing her name by any chance? Anyway, the fact of the matter is that 0 regular people chose Kamala for their candidate. Yet, the deep state puts forward this color revolution, this insurrection force called No Kings. Wait a minute. In a republic, as are we, a democratic republic, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, but it's a republic, we the people put forth who we want to represent us. In the case of Kamalama and Tim Walz, it was just and only the deep state ordering the DNC operatives to choose those two. That's all it was. The regular Democrats had no choice in the matter. They probably would have picked Barry, or they probably would have picked even Big Mike over Kamalama. They would have picked, what's his name? Bernie Sanders. They would have picked him over Kamalama. But they didn't get a chance. They didn't get an opportunity. Not regular Democrats, just the corrupt deep staters, the assets, the puppets. That's who installed that losing candidate. Why? And maybe you're even asking why. Maybe you're so interested to say, what do you mean, Otter? What are you talking about? Why? Well, the fact of the matter, she was polling at 1%. The dud. 1%. Come on, man. As Diaper Joe would say, come on, man. You did. That's a non-starter. So they had to bolster, lie, embellish, embroider, lie about her poll numbers. And then they rammed her down the throat of all the Democrats and all Americans. But we made the decision in the end because they couldn't cheat the way they did in 2020. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Judge Hannah Dugan's trial for obstruction of ICE agents is off the calendar as court possibly rules on motion to dismiss case. You remember her? Very large judge. She strode around. She marched around the courthouse and told ICE agents that, hey, if you want this prisoner that we have, this illegal alien in the court there, you're going to have to go down to the clerk's office over there, and you're going to have to sign for him. So they're like, oh man, this is not what we're used to. This is not protocol, but we'll do it. So they get up. Sure enough, she waddles on over. You know, I don't know if there was any sound and audio to these recordings. It would have been interesting. But she goes up, probably a lot of heavy breathing, and she goes sweat under that robe, and nasty. So big Judge Hannah Dugan's body fit through the doorway, and she told the illegal alien and his lawyer, get out the back, go out the back, run, fly, be free, steal, rob, plunder, kill, doesn't matter. We love you. Vote. Whatever you do, vote. Okay? Now, I'm just making up that dialogue. I don't know if it really went like that, but I can imagine a person like Dugan would say stuff like that. I really can. Now, last month, Hannah Dugan moved to dismiss the case against her one day after a federal grand jury indicted her on 2 counts of obstructing an ICE arrest. Dugan's attorneys cited the 10th Amendment, official acts as a judge, and judicial immunity. FBI Director Kash Patel said Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested at her courthouse. You better believe it. It's on video. Chihuahuas. White House press secretary responds to Trump supporters who oppose U.S. involvement in Iran. I told you I was going to get back to this, and we did. White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt assured President Trump's supporters on Thursday that they can trust his incredible instincts and his record of ensuring peace through strength as he works to de-escalate the situation in the Middle East and weighs the option of striking Iran. This is all posturing, ladies and gentlemen. Moves, counter moves, strategic maneuvers, and, all that good stuff. Now, whatever we watch on TV, if we watch TV, and I don't think many of my viewers do watch TV, and that's a good thing. But remember, we're in the pickle, so to speak, and we're working 2 ends. We do not, I have to stress this. Israel is not who the American people as a whole think of them. I'm not saying that they're not humans, and the regular Israelis are regular people, just like anybody else. It's their leaders, okay? that are the concern. It's their leaders that are involved in the deep state. Okay. So now they are weighing this whole situation. I'm going to give you another, how would you say? And at first it seems unsettling, but I'm going to give you another aspect of all this. And I'm going to give you a drop from the 17th letter that, and I don't remember if it was 2017, 2018, whatever it was. But more than once, the 17th letter dropped. Scare event is necessary. What are you talking about, Otter? Well, in order for people to come to a realization that the world is not as they think it is, some of them need to be brought to what the 17th letter has said the precipice is. Every one of us has a different precipice. Mine happened to be the gene therapy that they wanted to poke under my skin and give to me. And I said, you know what? I've been pushed around, complied, masks, all that stuff. I did it. I'm not going to get that stuff. So thankfully, I was able to retire. I didn't retire because I was able to also extend the retirement phase period, and the good guys got them to back off the mandate, and I went back to work. So all that being said, this scare event brings people to the precipice. What will this scare event be? I'm not going to even pretend to know. I'm not going to say it's this Iran thing. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm not going to say it's another pandemic. I'm not going to say it's not. I don't think so. I really think that's played out. But it's going to be something that's going to scare people, but yet be under the control of the patriots, the counterinsurgency. I know for people who watch TV, this is really unbelievable. I'll say that first. The first description, an unbelievable proposition. However, for those of us that have been paying attention, for those of us who have been digital warriors, digital soldiers, we have been on this battlefield, if you will, for a while, and we've inspected things that are even stranger. So, all that to say that a different aspect of this whole Iran-Israeli thing, Israel thing, is that it could just be, Jerry, good to see you. It could just, Barry, glad you're watching, brother. It could, reading books work. Yes. Thank you very much, Barry. A great, I got this from the great John B. Wells. He has a show called Caravan to Midnight. He interviews really interesting people. Anyway, his saying is, if you want to learn something new, read an old book. Ladies and gentlemen, the deep state, the Khazarian mafia, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, international criminal cartel, whatever. They have been so very effective in lying to us throughout the last few generations that we don't even know our own history. We don't know U.S. history the way things really happen, much less world history. And especially going into antiquity, completely lied about that. I'm discovering things, crazy, interesting things, technology in the old days, antiquity, events, writings, all that kind of stuff. And you'll never learn that in school because school is not designed for you to learn anything like that. School is designed for you to be programmed to their agenda. But that's going to change too. Just like one of my favorite world leaders, right? The leader of Argentina, right? Like la patria de Juanito. Okay? He had the Department of Departamento de Educación afuera. Right? It's gone. Donald Trump is in the process of doing the very same thing. Because you have evil people like Weingarten, okay? Oh, you look at that woman and you know she, I won't go any further. We're on Facebook, but I'll tell you what, man, that woman is whatever Hoffa was and worse. Anyway, Ohio Republicans introduce Prenatal Equal Protection Act to abolish abortion in the state. This is Ohio. Apparently, there are people who really like babies in Ohio. They don't want to kill them. What Go figure. The Ohio Prenatal Equal Protection Act, House Bill 370, points to the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which states, no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws to protect the life of preborn persons. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Juanito likes it too. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I don't just disagree with abortion protagonists. I vehemently, passionately disagree. I think that every person created by God has a purpose, and every person created by God has a right to live out that life to the best of his or her ability. Okay? When we embark upon these crusades against the unborn, while at the same time, and I read this, and this is not in the notes, the new high for women in America giving birth is age 30. They have to delay for that long because our economy is so bad. You know, you could bring kids into the world, but you can't support them properly. Not in this economy, not with the auto pen giving all our money away, right? I mean, yes, that stopped, but to the same degree, U.S. aid is still around, siphoning off our tax dollars to give to street thugs, Trans-Tifa, and whatever else is out there. So, fact of the matter is, there are still people who love babies. 62% of Democrats want party leadership to be replaced. Believe they're too focused on woke issues. This is again out of Gateway Pundit. Other Democrats say the party sometimes overemphasizes issues that they view as less critical, such as transgender rights. Just 17% of Democrats said allowing transgender people to compete in women's and girls' sports should be a priority. But 28% of Democrats think party leaders see it as such. You see, I guess they kind of garbled it, but the fact of the matter is, what the leaders of the Democrat and Republican Party, the Republicans, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to go on a tirade, we don't have that much time left, but the Republicans here in Texas suck. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, I don't endorse, but you got to really think about who we have in right now and think about primarying them. And whoever their opponent is, vote for that person. Because these sick freaks are messing with the great state of Texas. And it is no bueno. It's bad. These Republicans really, they're deep state assets. Faux show. I'm telling you, it is not a doubt. So when people ask me, or they say they accuse or assault or accost me with being Republican, I am not Republican. I'm an American. America first. Everything else later. This is the country that God born me into, raised me up in. Okay? This is my place. I happen to have another home in heaven. Only by the acts and grace of God himself and his son, Jesus Christ, do I have any stake. Can I claim any stake in heaven? By the faith that he gave me, okay, I have come to terms with God. On his terms, of course, but they were very congenial. Now, let's see if God will allow us, and many of us pray for our nation, our president. Let's see if something can be brought about in the Middle East that does not require American lives and American blood. That is such an important thing, ladies and gentlemen. We want to extricate ourselves from all these wars. Because remember, all wars are bankers' wars. At the root of the power of the deep state is the banking system. In our case, the Federal Reserve System, which is not federal. It's private. I'm sure all of you know that. So, coming to the closing of our show today, I want to let you know that whatever the news says, it's probably going to be fear porn. Okay, that's probably what it's going to be. They want you on the edge so that you'll come back tomorrow, or maybe even if it captures your interest, you'll stay on all day. TV is a wasteland. It will hurt your thinking process. Like Barry said, reading books works. It really does. It works. I tell my kids this. You can be in the confines of your own home, yet you can go on adventures, learn through someone else's experience, and enjoy the whole process while becoming a better reader and more articulate speaker just by reading books. As you may or may not know, and you may have already guessed, I am not educated. I am an unwashed person. I am one of the unwashed masses, one of the lower castes. But as a child and even as an adult, I am a prolific reader. I can read smart people. I can read their books, their works, their studies, both fiction and nonfiction. I can enjoy all that. I can absorb all that from different ends of the spectrum without someone inculcating their viewpoint, worldview, perspective upon me and demanding that I agree with it to make a grade and get a piece of paper. Okay? So the fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is, if you read books, you are your own teacher. Yeah, you have help from the author, but you're the one who's got to sit down and read it. Put down the phone, put down the laptop, and read. It'll do wonders for you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to leave you with this. We're going to go back to our verse of the day, because much of what we spoke of was stuff that you'll never learn in the mainstream media and you'll never learn in school. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Thank you, Lord Jesus, and thank you, Luke, for writing that through the Holy Spirit. Thank you all for watching today. God bless you. God bless America. May Donald Trump be brought to a very clear and instructive position on how peace can be made out of this mess in the Middle East. May your will be done, Lord. In the name of Jesus, amen. And you all, please have a great week. Otter's out.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show
Oh my God, I love you so much.
on